Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Banyan Gold. We are going to be discussing a strategic financing that was just announced and a bit of an exploration update from that 40,000 meter upsized drill program at the AurMac project in the Yukon. Chatting with Tara Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold. Company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol BY and on the OTCQB under the symbol BYAGF. Tara, let's start with the most recent news, a strategic financing of a total amount of a little over $31 million. There's a flow-through component of about 23 million and a hard dollar component of a little over $8 million. Now, the strategic here is someone I want to focus on. It is a private Peruvian mining company. Can you take us through this deal and what is attracting this private Peruvian mining company into Banyan Gold with your project in the Yukon?
Well, Corey, I like to say that it's the quality of the asset and the quality of the team that's attracted them. And, they did do a site visit. They have been following the story for a while. The Gubbins family is very well known in the mining business. They have 6 mines, which are listed in the news release, all in the Peruvian Andes, Bolivar in Mexico. And they do have a really strong track record of M&A and developing projects. So they're a great strategic partner, and making this investment is really timely for us. It allows us to finish this year really strong and plan a really big 2026 and gives us a very strong hard dollar treasury as well.
So some of the details here, the flow through component at almost $1 per share. Again, there are no warrants with this financing. So when this financing closes, you'll bring in $31.4 million. Just a quick question, Tara. How much money did you have before this financing? So in general, how much will you have on the back end of this financing?
Oh, well over $40 million. We've been very careful with our treasury, and that puts us in a really strong position. And, we always have a little bit of revenue. We've always been very careful with our cash. We're being very strategic about how we're going to spend this money in 2026 and going into this gold market. One of the overhangs that companies always have is that perception they don't have enough money. We certainly now have a very strong treasury and a very strong endorsement.
So with, I guess, over $44 million after this financing is closed, the flow-through component, $23 million, that means you need to put it into the ground. So can you give us a bit of a preview of what that means for general size of a work program next year?
So we're going to finish off our 40 or 43,000 meters this year by the end of November. We're continuing to do the technical work on the metallurgy side, the baseline side, but that gives us over 50,000 meters of drilling for next year. It'll allow us to put out that PEA in the fall of 2026. And I think that's going to be pretty exciting to see that what we can do with this funding.
Now, does this company that's coming in with this strategic financing, do they have any say in how this money gets spent? Have they provided any, I guess, preference in terms of the work that you do?
No, they are very supportive shareholders. The financing didn't come with any rights to a board seat or technical committee or even right to participate in the future.
Okay. So money coming in from a strategic, large amount of money that cashes you up for at least the foreseeable future to do a big work program next year. Let's talk about here and now the 40,000 meter drill program. We last chatted kind of mid to late September when you announced that increase in the drill program and a couple results. What's the drilling like now? How far along are you? What updates can you give us on the exploration front?
So we're about 36,000 meters in, or 165 holes. We've only released 26, so we've got a lot of results to come. We're firing all on all cylinders with 4 drills turning right now, so pretty exciting. That'll give us results news flow well into 2026. And we do plan to start drilling in March of 2026, so that's why it's so important to have this funding secured now. We can get our drill plans and our drills in place and be firing on all cylinders early in 2026. We also will be putting out a new resource on our Hyland property, which is our secondary asset. We felt it was the time to update that, so that'll be coming in the next few weeks. So it should be a good time to be a Banyan shareholder. And I really appreciate all those shareholders that stuck with us through the tough times and the tough times last year. And hopefully, we're going to deliver some real value for them this year and next year.
Tara, let's talk about this Highland property then. A little background for my audience, please, on what's been done on this project.
So the project was actually the first project we had when I became the CEO in 2016. It's down in the Watson Lake Mining District, also in the Yukon. It is road accessible, but currently that's only accessible by winter because of some stream crossings. But it is a gravel road. It's 186 square kilometers. It has a non-compliant resource on it, and ultimately I'll give you the numbers in when we do put that resource out here. But strong recoveries from metallurgy. It's also a sediment-hosted, structurally controlled gold deposit, part of that same Selwyn Basin style of mineralization. So, it's an exciting time to have a secondary asset. It's not going to be our focus, but it will certainly add some ounces to the company profile.
So what's the strategy for moving the Highland project forward then? Are you going to be drilling there, or are you bringing this resource to be compliant to maybe find a partner to work it?
Oh, probably both. We will be drilling some out there next year. We think we've reinterpreted the geology and the model, and that there are some exciting targets out there to drill. And that's also how you get people interested in it and joint venture on it. We don't have to spend a lot of money out there, I think, to move the dial, particularly with our new model. But our real focus is still going to be ORMac. ORMac is where the real value driver is for our shareholders. We're following up there on some of these high grade zones and a few big step outs as well. So there'll be lots of news to come, and Highland's just another feather in our cap.
Now, for ORMac, that's going to be the continued strategy at that project in terms of isolating the high grade pockets, bringing those confidence in terms of ounces higher, but then continuing to step out and continuing to, I guess, generally expand on already what you have there as a 7.7 million ounce resource.
Well, we're focusing, remember, on the 5 million ounces of plus 1 gram, which will really form the basis of a mine plan in which, I think will drive the economics. And so, yes, it's in 50% of that's at airstrip where we have that high grade that we've discovered, multi-gram intercepts where the dike intersects the calcareous metasediments, and it's near surface. So it's likely really going to expand what we have for a starter pit there and add ounces. We hadn't drilled on airstrip since 2020 until we drilled there last year. So lots of room to grow that resource. It's currently only 1/7 of the total resource. So, as we add grade and ounces there, I think that'll start to define a little bit of a new story about what this deposit is, and a perception of the grade, I think, will change.
So, what are we looking at in terms of news flow for the holes that have already been drilled coming back from the assay lab? When are we going to start to see more of those? What do you think the consistency will be?
Probably next week, we'll start to get some of those results out. And then, as we get 10 or so holes that make sense, that go together in a story, because we like to put drill holes from not just as they are in the sequence, but also in the similar area so people can really see how it's hanging together rather than a bunch of random holes from a whole bunch of different locations. So that takes a little bit more time to get the holes from an area and then put it together in a little bit of a story.
All right. So, Tara, I guess drilling news coming. Now there's no finance overhang because you'll have this strategic financing whenever it closes to fully cash up the company. And it's all about just continuing to expand ORMac and even bring onto the radar that Highland property. Anything else investors should be watching for?
Well, the other overhang we had was from what happened down the road in that block of stock. We now know they fully sold that block of stock, so that's another overhang that's gone. And we know that there's lots of M&A going on. It's public that there is a sale process for that mine going on, and so there are likely many people doing site tours and crossing right over our property. And we've done a fairly good job of, positioning this project as a standalone project. But there's certainly some synergies if there's M&A with either of the mines that are beside us. So I think we'll see it's interesting times with these gold prices. $4,200 gold and the silver prices. I think it's a really interesting time to be where we're located.
All right, Tara. Thank you very much for this update and congratulations on this strategic financing to catch you up for the foreseeable future here. Again, Tara Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold. Click the link in the show notes to visit the company's website to read over the recent news and continue to send me any questions you have for Tara for us to cover in future calls. Tara, thanks again for your time. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Corey.